Look at her face. She's pretending to be calm, but this woman is a thief. She stole my man's destiny.
She stole my man's destiny. The sharp voice echoed through the white halls of the Lagos Crest Private Hospital, where chandeliers sparkled like diamonds and the scent of expensive perfume mixed with panic. Cameras flashed, nurses froze, and security guards whispered into their radios. At the center of the chaos stood two women, one bold, trembling with fury, and the other silent, her eyes filled with controlled sadness. The loud one was Belinda, a young socialite dressed in a gold sequin gown that shimmered with every breath she took. Her red heels clicked hard on the marble floor as she pointed at the other woman. The calm one was Nena, dressed in a soft silk wrapper, her hair tied neatly, her hands clasped in quiet grace. She said nothing, not a word. Between them, on a hospital bed, unconscious and hooked to wires, lay Chief Kamalu, one of Lagos's most powerful contractors, and the man both women called husband. Doctors tried to calm Belinda, but she pushed them aside. "Don't touch me. I'm the one he truly loves. Ask him. If he wakes up, he will tell you who his real wife is." The hospital reception had turned into a courtroom. Patients gathered at the corridor, staff whispered behind masks, and one blogger was already live-streaming the scene. Two women fighting over Chief Kamalu at Crest Hospital. Lagos can never be boring, the blogger announced to thousands of viewers. Nena finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "Miss Belinda, please. Let's keep our dignity. The man you're shouting for is unconscious. This is not the place for drama." Belinda laughed bitterly. "Dignity? You can keep that word, madam. I want what's mine, and I won't stop until you're out of his life." She turned to the cameras. "She calls herself his wife, but ask her, where was she when he was fighting for contracts? I was there. I stayed awake with him. I cooked for him when he was weak. I made him a man." The words cut through the air like broken glass. But Nena didn't reply. She simply looked at Belinda, a look that carried pain, understanding, and quiet strength. Then she turned to the doctor. "Please continue treating my husband," she said softly. "Some storms don't need thunder to be powerful." Belinda scoffed. "Keep pretending, madam. But the whole city will soon know the truth, that you're just the woman with the ring, not the one with his heart." Before anyone could respond, a journalist pushed forward with a microphone. "Madam, please, which of you is the legal wife of Chief Kamalu?" For the first time, she realized that the war she started might not end the way she imagined. Outside the hospital, luxury cars lined up under the golden lights. The city of Lagos glimmered with wealth and whispers. But inside that white corridor, something darker was unfolding. The beginning of a war between a wife who prayed and a side chick who competed. And deep inside the hospital room, Chief Kamalu's fingers twitched. His eyes fluttered open faintly, just enough to hear Belinda's last words echoing in the hallway. "I'll destroy her, even if it destroys me." Before the shouting, before the hospital scandal, before the city gossip, there was once love. Pure, young, and humble love. Many years earlier, Kamalu Okri was just another struggling man in Lagos. He lived in a one-room apartment in Surulere where the power went off more often than it stayed on. Every morning, he wore the same faded blue shirt and went from office to office with his worn-out briefcase, begging for contracts that never came. He was polite, charming, and ambitious, but ambition meant little without money in the city of Lagos. Then one humid afternoon, while his old car smoked by the roadside, a woman stopped to help him. Her name was Nena, a soft-spoken schoolteacher whose laughter could ease any frustration. She offered him water from her bottle and stood beside him until a mechanic arrived. That day, she didn't know she had met the man who would change her life, and he didn't know he had just met the woman who would one day be at the center of his destruction. They started talking, slowly, respectfully. She was everything he wasn't. Calm where he was restless, prayerful where he was doubtful, content where he was ambitious. A year later, they married quietly in her church. There was no big wedding, no fancy cars, no gold chains. Just two people who believed that love and patience could build a kingdom. For years, Nena stood beside Kamalu as he fought through failure after failure. She sold her jewelry to help him buy equipment. She cooked for his workers when they couldn't afford food. And each night, before they slept, she prayed, "God, let my husband's hands find favor." Then one day, favor finally answered. Kamalu's company, Camstar Construction Ltd., was awarded a massive government project to build luxury estate roads in Lekki. Overnight, everything changed. The man who once begged for transport money now drove a black Range Rover. The one who wore one pair of shoes now owned closets full of Italian leather. He moved his family into a mansion with marble floors, glass chandeliers, and a swimming pool that sparkled under the moonlight. The city began calling him Chief Camelot, and everyone wanted to be close to him. Businessmen toasted to his success. Politicians called him my brother. Journalists called him the city's newest contractor prince. But with fame came temptation. As Camelot rose higher, Nena remained simple. She still woke early to make him breakfast. She still prayed before he left the house. But she began noticing that her husband's laughter no longer sounded the same. He started attending parties alone. He came home smelling of expensive perfumes she didn't own. He began saying, "You wouldn't understand, Nena, business is different now." She would smile softly and reply, "As long as you remember who you are." But in the world of city wealth, remembering who you are is the hardest thing to do. One evening, as Camelot entered a glittering business banquet filled with women in satin gowns and men with imported champagne, a certain woman turned her head toward him. Her lips curved into a knowing smile. That was Belinda, the woman who would soon make Nena's prayers sound like echoes in a storm. Camelot didn't know it yet, but that single glance across the ballroom marked the beginning of the end of his peaceful kingdom. As the orchestra played softly in the background, Camelot shook hands with investors while Belinda watched him like a hunter who had just spotted her prey. The man who once said he'd never change had just stepped into a world that would test everything he ever stood for. And Nena, far away at home, knelt in her living room, whispering a prayer that would soon be drowned by the noise of betrayal. In a city like Lagos, opportunities often come wrapped in perfume and diamonds. For Belinda Ukage, every man of power was a door waiting to be opened, and she had never been afraid to knock. She wasn't born rich. She grew up in the noisy streets of ABA, where her mother sold fabrics in Ariaria Market. But Belinda learned early that beauty could move mountains faster than prayers. When she moved to Lagos, she told herself, "I will never be ordinary." Her chance came the night she saw Chief Camelot at the Azure Towers business banquet. He stood tall in a dark suit that screamed wealth, shaking hands with politicians and company directors. The moment she saw him laugh, she decided this was her target. Belinda was not like other women. She didn't rush. She studied. She gathered information like a spy. The next morning, she spent hours scrolling through Instagram and LinkedIn, reading every post about Camelot. She found pictures of his construction projects, his luxury cars, even his mansion's courtyard. But what caught her attention most were the family photos, Camelot standing beside a graceful woman in Ankara lace. The caption read, "My rock, my prayer partner, my queen Nena." Belinda smirked. "Perfect," she whispered. "A praying wife. That means he's already bored." She began attending the same high-end networking events she saw him at online. She dressed in elegant gowns, spoke in business language, and positioned herself near his table but never too close. She understood the power of being noticed slowly. For weeks, she followed his social circle quietly, liking his company's posts, laughing politely at his jokes during conferences, and once, pretending to bump into him near the valet section of Eco Signature Hotel. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said with a graceful smile, holding a glass of white wine she didn't even drink. Camelot looked at her, half surprised. "No harm done. I've been following your company's work in Lekki. Impressive roads," she said softly. He raised an eyebrow. "You follow construction news?" "Only when the contractor looks like you," she said. Camelot laughed, not because the line was funny, but because it felt new. It had been a long time since a woman flirted with him without fear. That night, her name stuck in his mind like a song. Belinda had planted the first seed. Within days, she sent him a message on social media. "Great seeing you at Eco Signature. The city needs more visionary men like you." He replied, "Thank you, Miss Belinda. You're too kind." And that was how the door opened. From that point, Belinda began sending morning greetings, congratulatory messages, and playful compliments. She never asked for money, not yet. She only offered what every powerful man secretly craved, attention without judgment. When Camelot traveled to Abuja for a meeting, she sent him a text that made him smile for the first time in weeks. Don't forget to charm the ministers with that smile. Lagos is already missing its favorite contractor. He stared at his phone longer than he should have. Meanwhile, at home, Nena was setting the dining table for two, waiting patiently for a husband who no longer noticed how much effort she put into small details. Belinda didn't need witchcraft. She was intelligent, confident, and strategic. She knew that if she could make Camilla feel admired again, he would soon forget the woman who helped him climb. And so, with one smile and a few messages, Belinda stepped into a world she was not invited to, and began the slow, dangerous game of stealing another woman's peace in exchange for power.